Thank you. Minister, we've been repeatedly told over the last year that international travel was low risk, and I think that was blown out of the water, particularly with the UK variant and the January that we have seen in relation to the loss of life and the prevalence of the virus and how transmissible it was. And we're aware that there are two other variants, the Brazil and South African, but we don't know what other ones will emerge, and we won't know it'll be a retrospective piece of knowledge if there are other variants arise, and we're seeing already that the UK variant looks like there's a variant to that in turn. So it's essential that we consider that when we consider the kind of controls that need to be put in place. I was told by the Taoiseach about 3 weeks ago here that there was no, that most travel was essential, yet we're seeing since that, and indeed the Taoiseach said it this morning, that about 60% of travel was Irish people returning from holidays. So it wasn't true what I was told, and I find it very difficult to rely on the information when I can be given information like that when then it isn't true. Can I ask you, Minister, about where the responsibility lies for transport, and particularly international transport? It appears that the Department of Health has a more significant role than the Department of Transport. That seems to me to be really at odds, given the extent of the risk that there is in relation to transport. You might address that issue. You also just replied to Deputy Smith in relation to the World Health Organization and Ireland not having a competent authority. In fact, I think it was the Department of Health, the HSE and the Department of Transport that were originally involved. Has the HSE been designated? Has the World Health Organization been informed that they are the competent authority? And what type of organisation is in place, if there's an organisation in place that is a subset of the HSE? I mean, to be perfectly honest with you, when you talk about transport and this virus, I think most of us could go on all day because there's so many components of it. But one particular component is that the state aid rules have been relaxed in relation to the fiscal treaty. That we've seen that how that has resulted in high levels of investment by the like of Germany or France in relation to the airline sector. How is that different to how it plays out here? You might just address that. Just in relation to surface transport and the public, I mean, I know there's additional money has gone into the PSO in relation to public transport. Do you have any idea of the impact that it will have on those companies and their survivability, particularly in the non-commercial elements of the routes that are that don't normally fall under the PSO levy, because I mean surviving this is going to be the key issue, and we will require to have both an airline sector, we will require to have the shipping sector, and indeed our public transport systems post COVID. I want to just deal very briefly with you focused on sustainable transport. And I've got recently, just in the last day or two, I've got a reply in relation to the amount of money that has been allocated to each local authority in relation to that. And it seems to be demand-led in relation to the ability of the local authority to roll out the new paths or cycleways. In relation to getting to national standards, are you or will you talk to your counterpart in the Department of the Environment and Local Government, because there is clearly some local authorities that are doing better than others. That may well be down to the local authorities, and it may well be down to staffing, and I believe that is the case in some local authorities. But if we're going to have a fair distribution around the country, we can't have some local authorities not pulling their weight in relation to the rolling out of this or drawing down funds.
Thank you, Deputy Minister.
I think every government department has a role in this. It is, and take it in the international travel and the quarantine. Obviously, the Department of Justice has a key role that guard the checkpoints in Dublin Airport or how we manage border control. Our department has a key role. We've just rolled out a whole new antigen testing scheme for hauliers so that we can check them coming to and from France, or when the setting of the passenger locator form, we got stuck in terms of using the expertise the Dublin Airport Authority had to get the call centre to try and operate that. But in the end, it is health which has the final say, and that is appropriate, because if we're going to follow public health advice, they have to have the call in terms of whatever final measures. Not just our own public health system, but also I would say the ECDC. Just in terms of what we've been doing in the last year, it was at every stage this traffic light system we were following from the European Commission. It wasn't just because it was the European Commission, because it was reciprocal, but it was because the ECDC advice. And they will be critical in the coming days. They're due to report, as I understand, on Monday, with advice for countries on how we manage the variants. And we're best following that advice, because, listen, if there's any instance where the ECD, our own public health authorities, are saying we should take a measure, we will take that measure. And it's critical, because what I heard Mike Ryan of the WHO say in terms of managing this variant issue, and it does change everything, it is a real concern, that he says the key thing is cooperation internationally, isn't necessarily in every instance just banning, but actually monitoring, managing, sharing latest information so that we isolate it. I'm sorry I haven't got back to the other. Just with one detail on Kildare County Council as an example. A good meeting with them today, as I said. I think they could be an exemplar. I think we've agreed 11 additional engineering staff to help them roll out. I'll be honest, if certain councils can't do it and don't want to avail of that and aren't up for it, I'd prefer to see reallocate the resources to those who do, Minister, so that there's a real impetus behind those councils who want to make it happen.
Now, Deputy O'Donnell, Deputy